Today, I want to be answering all the most common questions that we have gotten about the Amish. Let's jump right into it. The first question is,
do Amish pay taxes?
The Amish do pay taxes, all except for Social Security taxes. The Amish have like their own program. If the church members need money, then they can give them money for stuff. As far as retirement, I will be doing another video about that.
What about Amish and electricity, and do they use technology?
The Amish do not have electricity in their houses, but a lot of them have battery-operated things. So they produce electricity in other ways. They might have a switch you can flip in the house or in their shop, but it's not connected through electricity through the grid. It is connected to a battery, and maybe that is connected to a solar panel, or they recharge the batteries, something like that. As far as technology, Amish have very minimal technology. No computers or TVs. As far as phones, in our community, most of the youth would have a cell phone, and in other communities too. And then some of the members of the church have a cell phone for their businesses, but it's not supposed to be one with internet. Now, New Order Amish might be a little bit different rules. Other than that, most Amish do not have much technology at all.
So is it true that the Amish only get an 8th grade education?
Yes, it is true that the Amish only get 8th grade education. If they go to Amish school, the education is very much way less than the public schools. If they do go to public school, it is rare, but it does happen sometimes, then they graduate at 8th grade.
Now here's a good one. What is Rumspringa?
The whole point of Rumspringa is so that the Amish youth can get a Amish partner to get married to one day. That's the whole point, but they do get away with doing things that they otherwise would get in trouble for if they were a member of the church, such as going to the movies, dressing in non-Amish clothes, going bowling, some things like that. Rumspringa starts at the age of 16 or 17, and it ends around the time that they would get baptized or married, which is in their lower 20s. And in our community, Rumspringa also is about partying. In some Amish communities, the youth have a lot of alcohol when they're in Rumspringa.
What language do the Amish speak?
The Amish speak Pennsylvania Dutch. It is a dialect of German. Now, some people have called it Pennsylvania German. I think it's the same thing. I have not found a language that is the closest to it. You can't read it or write it, but we just learn how to speak it when we are growing up.
Can you say a sentence in Pennsylvania Dutch for us?
Dit du een gal en bokkie rit? That means, do you want a horse and buggy ride?
What is shunning?
Shunning in the Amish can look differently for different people. If you are a member of the church, then you can get shunned if you do not obey the rules. The rules are set in place, called the Ordnung, by the bishop and the elders. They would enforce the rules. And if you're a member, you have to obey those rules. The rules can be about what you can wear and what you can't wear, what you can do, what you can't do, etc., etc. If a member of the church has done something that the elders don't like, or it's against their Ordnung, or if they have been caught doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, then that person can get shunned for a couple weeks. And maybe that person didn't even know that it was wrong or against their Ordnung, but you have to still obey if the bishop and the elders say you have to confess it to the church, and you have to be shunned for a couple weeks, which means you can go to church, but you can't eat with the rest of them, and you're not supposed to interact with them for those couple weeks. And then if everyone agrees, you can go back into the good standing with the church after you confess, and then you're a member again. If someone leaves the Amish, they're also shunned if they are a member of the church. Now, that would be called excommunication, because they are not allowed to have any contact with the church, and the church members are not allowed to eat with them or to take money from them.
Can outsiders join the Amish?
There is some cases where people have joined the Amish, including my husband, who you heard talking in the background. He converted for a little over 3 years in the same community that I grew up in. And first he got to know some Amish people, and then he found a bishop. There was a couple different ones that he was trying to ask about joining the Amish. He finally found one that would help him to join. So he joined the Amish, but he was not a member of the church. In the 3.5 years that he was there, when he left, they still would not allow him to become a member of the church, just for some certain reasons, such as he was talking too much to his family who was not Amish, and some ridiculous things like that. But there is a family in the church that I grew up in my Amish parents' church, that the dad of this family converted Amish, and he's still Amish. So sometimes it does happen, but it is rare.
So what did the Amish think about photography?
Amish and photography is a subject that I do not like to talk about, because people have believed stuff that is not true about Amish and photography. I will be doing a video about that alone in the future. In our community, I was taught we do not take pictures of people because we don't know if it's wrong or if it's not wrong. So just to be on the safe side, we're not going to take pictures of people. Now, sometimes some people have pictures of people, like maybe their children or their friends, especially in Rumspringa. Then they would have to keep those pictures separately in a drawer somewhere out of sight. They cannot hang it up. Some communities of Amish would not even allow that. They misinterpret the commandment about the graven image, and they say that we might not be able to take pictures because it would be against the commandments. One of the biggest reasons why the Amish don't take pictures also is because most of them don't have a phone with a good camera, unless they're in Rumspringa, and then they wouldn't have cameras either, because that wouldn't be allowed. Unless they have a throwaway camera, I have heard of a few times. Some communities would not be allowed to have those, but when they have younger children, they just want a few pictures of their children, and then they throw the camera away, then that's the only time I've heard of that.
Can Amish vote?
Amish do vote, yes. There is a lot of Amish that have been voting for a long time, but there's also Amish that do not. Mostly the men are the ones who vote, but some women.
How do the Amish feel about modern medicine? Like, what if they get sick or they have an emergency, etc.?
In our community, if we had an emergency or we got sick, we went to the urgent care. But if it was bad enough where you need something more, then we would just go to a hospital. An Amish woman can give birth in a care center, which is where my mom had all of her children, or they can also go to the hospital, which is what a lot of my friends did when they had a child. I know that I and my brothers got vaccinated when we were growing up, but I don't know if all Amish communities vaccinate their children.
How many Amish live in the U.S.?
There's roughly 390,000 Amish in the US and roughly 450,000 in the world.
What is the Ordnung?
The Ordnung is a set of rules that each church has, and there's millions of rules. Now, some of them are unspoken rules too. The bishop and the preachers and deacon enforce these rules, and when a member of the church does not obey the rules, then they can be shunned. So whatever they say that they have to do, you have to do it. Like in our community, we had to dress with a head covering, a dress, shoes and socks, a bonnet when you're out in public, and there's rules for each specific one of those clothings. Then you have to, some churches don't allow you to have a gas lawnmower. Some churches don't allow you to have a boat. The list goes on and on and on, and that's the Ordnung.
Are the Amish Christians?
A genuine Christian is someone who teaches and believes the teachings of the Bible. Unfortunately, the Amish nowadays do not believe the teachings or teach the teachings of the Bible. Longer ago, they used to be more with the teachings of the Bible, but as the time went on, they got away from it. And now most of them are reading the German Bible, and they do not teach German in schools or anywhere. So most people don't understand what they're reading in the Bible, and that is one of the biggest reasons why they got away from the teachings of the Bible. Even though I was told growing up, if someone ever asked you, what is your religion? We have to say Christianity. There's so much more to true, genuine Christianity. So the answer is no, the Amish are not Christians.
What are the largest Amish communities?
The number one largest Amish community in the world is Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This is where the Amish came to first when they came to the United States, so that makes sense. The second largest is Holmes County, Ohio. The third largest is LaGrange, Indiana. And the fourth largest is the community that I grew up in, which is Middlefield, Ohio.
What's the differences between Amish and Mennonite?
The main difference between Amish and Mennonite is that the Mennonites typically are a lot more lenient in their rules. Most Mennonites have technology, they drive cars, they dress a little bit differently, and things like that. Whereas the Amish do not drive cars, they do not have much technology, and they dress a lot plainer. Also, the Mennonites would have Bible studies typically, whereas the Amish are not allowed to have Bible studies unless it is New Order Amish. New Order is a little bit more like the Mennonites, and there is an Old Order Mennonite community that is a little bit more like the New Order Amish. So there's different levels of Amish and different levels of Mennonite. So the most lenient Mennonite being up here, the most strictest Amish being down here, and then they meet in the middle. It's New Order Amish and Old Order Mennonite.
Are Amish self-sufficient?
I think most people think that the Amish are more self-sufficient than they actually are. Because on a day-to-day basis, in a lot of communities, they rely on taxi drivers to take them places. When they go to get their groceries, the groceries are usually at the store, and even the groceries they sell in their own stores. Some stuff is made by Amish people, but a lot of it is not made by Amish people. Most Amish have gardens, and they have fresh vegetables and fruits throughout the summer, but when the winter time comes, we always had to go out and buy our fruits and vegetables and everything because we didn't have enough for the whole winter, except for potatoes sometimes. Some Amish grow their own meat, but it's the same thing. Certain very strict Amish communities are not allowed to have freezers, so they would have to can their meat, or it depends. I was Old Order Amish, so I'm not exactly sure what they would do, but in our community, we would have our fresh meat, and once we're out of it, then we would go to the store and buy some more until the next season of fresh meat. A lot of their occupations, they would use things that are not made by Amish people. It depends what kind of business, but if it's construction, then they might get their products from a completely different company that's not Amish, and the list goes on. They do continually rely on the outside world to keep them going. I hope that you learned something new, and if you have more questions about the Amish, you can drop it down in the comments, and maybe I'll come back with a part 2. Until then, we'll see you later.